Good morning, darlings. Okay, this is the third lesson of A Christmas Carol. So you need to start with, you need to read through the opening part of the first stave. So Marley was dead to begin with, down to what the knowing ones called nuts to Scrooge. Now, couple of things. A stave, for those of you who don't do music or don't pay attention or aren't musically inclined, is a section of music. A carol is something we sing at Christmas. Therefore, instead of these being called chapters, Dickens elected to call them staves, to reflect the musical tone of the book. Okay. So if you can go through and read this section here, you won't be able to read it on the screen, I'm sure, because it's tiny. But you can read it in your own copies, or if you haven't got a copy, I'm sure there are free ones online. If not, email me and I will email it to you. So as you read through the first part here, you need to underline any information that you think, oh, that'll be useful. Oh, that seems important. Remember, we did this with note taking and remembering what was important and what wasn't, and learning about key information and thinking about why that would be relevant later. Also, as you're going through, if you don't understand any of the words, look them up in the dictionary. Language has evolved slightly since the Victorian era. So some of the words might be a bit foreign to you. It's not changed that much, but it's changed a little bit, and you might not understand all of the words in Dickens' writing, but equally, if he came back now, he wouldn't understand what a selfie was. So it evolves, it evolves. Etymology is a wonderful hobby to have. It's about the history of words and where they come from and how they've developed, and it's a fabulous thing to look into. If you haven't done so yet, please do so. It's worth it, I promise. It's really interesting. Okay, so as you do that, then you can pause the video and then come back when you're ready. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you've done that. So this is what we did in the lesson. We made a list of the personality traits Scrooge and Marley each have. So we did a chart. You know how I'm a fan of charts. And for each one, we found a quote which proves our point. And then we identified the methods. So it might be that Scrooge and Marley have a lot of things in common, but that there's a different quote for each of them. It might be because Marley was dead and Scrooge is alive. There are more quotes for Scrooge, which is fine because, well, he's alive. So, and our story centers around him. So that's absolutely fine. But draw yourself a little chart. You can take up the entire page if you think there's plenty to go at. So what kind of personality traits are we talking about? So we're talking about greed. Perhaps we're talking about being isolated or alone, maybe lonely. We might be talking about being shrewd. We might be talking about being a miser, holding on to money, not liking to spend it, stuff like that. And these qualities might be shared by both, but you want a different quote for each and a method used, please. So your methods from your methods chart, your metaphors, your similes, etc., etc. Okay, thank you. Right, so on the screen in front of you, you'll find that vocabulary building is here because it's better to use a particular term, say, for example, shrewd, instead of liked a lot of business. If you can develop your vocabulary to be more concise and precise, then this will help you in the long run. It's a really good idea to build your vocabulary up. Miss Pownell talks about this all the time, and it's for good reason, because we are limited in our thoughts to the language we have acquired. So if you can acquire more language, your thoughts are likely to be broader, deeper, and more varied. Okay, so vocabulary building is vital for adult life, and that leads me on to the world of work. So by completing this task, you're both developing your summarizing skills. Again, you'll be able to utilize your vocabulary for this, and your analytical ones. Brevity, meaning being brief. See, that's a word that you might not have known. Okay, so brevity. So instead of me saying being brief, I can say brevity. Brevity is necessary in most careers. Time is precious, especially if you're being paid by the hour. Okay. Analytical skills help us think deeper and see how things are created rather than just that they're there, It's pointless to say, oh yeah, that's a metaphor. without saying what it does or why it's there or what it's for. Okay, it helps our understanding of the world. I know you don't perhaps think, oh, a Christmas Carol, what's that got to do with anything? I know you perhaps think that, but I promise the more you study stuff like this, the more you'll see, oh, actually, yeah, that does fit in with, oh, I see, right, okay, yeah, got it, smart me, smart, and you'll be tapping your forehead. True story. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and do the chart, please. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you've done that and you've worked really hard. Now what we need to do is, and I'm putting this in the same lesson despite the fact that it was 2 in the classroom, because it goes together. So we've got their traits, their personality traits, and that's fine and fair enough. We're treating them as individual characters here, different entities, separate of one another. Absolutely fine. Yes, great. What we need to do now is examine the importance of their relationship. So we need to say what the relationship between Scrooge and Marley was and how we know. And so for Helpful Harvey says, for every example you find about their relationship, you need to think, what does that mean and what does that tell me? So we need to look at adjectives or key phrases perhaps that Dickens has used, if there are any other methods or metaphors that help us understand their relationships. Now, you might be a bit confused. Miss, what on earth has metaphors got to do with their relationship? It could be that a metaphor has been used in order to convey a deeper meaning that is not explicit on the page. We call this subtext. So we need to read between the lines, okay? So go ahead and do that, and then we can get on to analysing what a reader might think of their relationship. So if you want to pause this first and then come on to the second bit, you're more than welcome to do so. I'm going to carry on because the beauty of the internet is that there is a pause button on Miss Hine. There isn't one in real life. Analysing. What might a reader think of their relationship? Now, Helpful Harvey says we need to think about Victorian readers' opinions, okay, and those of readers today, because they're going to be different. So a Victorian reader might think that their relationship was typical, or they might think that their relationship was atypical. Now, what does atypical mean? If something is atypical, it means it's unusual. So typical, atypical. It's almost like anti-typical, but we just say atypical, okay? Was it beneficial? Were there different layers of it? Something other than purely financial? Were they similar? Well, we can use our chart for this, can't we? That's why we did it. Excellent. Well done. Were they similar? How might this have affected their relationship? Did it strengthen their relationship? Did it mean they got on better? Did it make it worse? What is it? Okay. Did they have any others? Did they have any other relationships? Did they have any other friends, family, etc.? Okay. And there is a passage in this bit here that you will be able to look at. There's a paragraph that you'll be able to look at to help you answer that question. How might this have affected the way they did or didn't value each other? Okay, so this is something for you to think about as well, okay? And then you'll think about a Victorian reader's opinion and those of readers today, okay? I think I put one too many S's in there. Let me just get rid of that. I think I went mental with the S there. Okay, right, so, and then you can pause that and go ahead and do that. And then you can come back to evaluating. So remember, we've got our metacognition stuff here. So we're understanding, we're analysing, and then we are going to evaluate. How did Scrooge feel after Marley's death? So again, Helpful Harvey says, for each example you find, which might indicate what he felt, you think, what does that mean? What does that tell me? So has Dickens used any specific adjectives? What about other more enhanced methods? Any similes, any metaphors, any onomatopoeia, whatever it is? Use your charts from the beginning of the school year. What about sentence structure? Now this is interesting because we're going to come on to structure shortly. So it's going to be a good idea to think about what kind of sentence. Now you will have done this in perhaps year 3, year 4 maybe, about compound, complex, compound, complex sentences and their effect, maybe what they're for. So long sentences usually offer an opportunity for emotion. Short sentence, and this is broadly speaking, guys, there's no fixed rule for this, but broadly speaking, long sentences usually offer an opportunity for emotion. Short sentences are usually lacking emotion. What about any lists, though? Might they reflect a to-do list or a checklist, as though they were tasks to be performed and nothing else? So think about the type of sentence, think about how long or short they are, think about what's included in them, and then you can start to answer this question, okay? Using the methods. Great, fantastic, well done. So again, if you're off school for whatever reason and you can't get this assessed by somebody sat next to you in class, get somebody at home to assess it for you, parent perhaps, or elder sibling, or not the dog. The dog will just eat it, not the dog. Okay, so have they used ambitious vocabulary, written and complete sentences, spelled all words correctly? These are sort of the basics that you absolutely have to do. Avoided using I in their answers. There's no I in essays, guys. Also, I've missed a bracket. I've missed a bracket. What's going on? I usually love a good bracket. I do love a good bracket, it has to be said. Not going to lie. So there's no I in essays. Please, please, please don't put I think that, because we know it's what you think. You're writing the essay. So if you think, I think Scrooge and Marley were good friends, get rid of I think that and start your sentence with Scrooge and Marley were good friends, because we know it's what you think. It's your essay. I know I've just said that, but it bears repeating. So answered all the questions thoroughly using good quality detail. So I don't mean being vague, I mean being specific, I mean really zooming in on key words, okay? Discuss the use of methods and or their effect, preferably and, not or, preferably and their effect. And considered what a reader's reaction might have been or would be today. So if somebody's marking this for you, if they can give you a comment about what you did well and then an even better if, for example, if you didn't quite meet all of these things, even better if you could do this next time, or if you can go back and then improve it, that would be fabulous. Okay, next lesson, we're going to go on to something else. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this video, guys. I hope this was okay for you. If you've got any questions, you can email me or you can tweet me at Miss Hine English, and I will do my best to help you. Stay safe, like and subscribe. Jokes. I'm joking. I mean, you can if you want. It's up to you.